call Africa the motherland because we know, or I know, that my blood is African, that my soul is African. And this is my third trip to Africa. Every time I've come, I've wanted to be able to go to a school and see students, and I have never been able to until now. So today is the first time that I've ever been able to engage with students of the motherland, and it is truly an honor. So I just first have to say that my parents raised me to be a proud African, and that's not always the case in America. America has done, a very powerful job of making Black people think that they're not African. They've done they use media, and that's why I love that you had the media on here, because they use media to brainwash America, whether it's white Americans, Black Americans, any race, and really the world, to brainwash people to think that, first of all, that Black people are savages, that we're, bad people. We're taught to think that Africans, people on the continent, are savages, are bad people. But I was blessed to be able to have parents that taught me the truth. So I was not brainwashed. They taught me that the news will brainwash you. So I always watch the news with a critical lens. Now I don't even watch the news because it's just bad news. And so to be able to see the excellence, my parents taught me that Africa is where excellence originates. And so you all exhibit that. You exude Black excellence. We're here. I came here and was brought here to Ethiopia to celebrate Black excellence, and you all are the prime example of what Black excellence is all about. I am so impressed by your thoughts, your mentality, and it gives me even more encouragement. So I know I was asking, it's probably been already 5 minutes, I was asked to talk about community-based education. So I am the founder and the CEO of the community-based education movement. That is a movement that is focused on bringing the community and the classroom together. So I started this movement in June of 2022 when I defended my doctoral dissertation. So I am a doctor of education. My research focused on community-based learning. And so what that means, community-based learning is an instructional model where students use their academic skills to learn about the community, okay? So instead of just reading stories, I don't know what kind of stories you have to read in English, but in America it's usually around white people, or the math is very just teacher-centered, or the science is very it's abstract and it's not put to life. And so community-based learning is about using those tools to put the learning, bring it to life. And so for me, my research was to find out why isn't it happening. And the research showed that it's because of a lack of knowledge and a lack of support. And so that lack of knowledge is on the part of the teachers, the students, the community members. It's a lack of knowledge. So I decided after I finished all of my research and defended my dissertation to start the community-based education movement with the goal of bringing awareness to community-based education. For me, community-based education is the future of education, even though it really is an old-fashioned model. How many of you have heard the phrase, "It takes a village to raise a child"? Have you ever heard that? It takes a village to raise a child. So in America, we've been taught that phrase, and we're taught it's an African phrase, okay? That it's the whole village educates the child. The whole village is how children learn, or at least traditionally. So whether you're a farmer or whatever your tradition is, you learn from everybody in the community. Whereas in the modern day schools, you only learn from your teachers. And teachers only have very limited knowledge. So for me, it's been about bringing the community into the schools to collaborate and to bring that knowledge to life. So to show, community members can show how, like fashion designers, they use math. Engineers, they use math. So bringing them in to do projects with students. Historians, psychologists, they use history. Sociologists, they use history. So bringing them in to collaborate with students. We have writers and poets, spoken word artists like you all did. So I just got to give some snaps to that spoken word. They use English. They use English too. And so bringing in people who use writers and authors bringing it in to collaborate with students. That's community-based education. Scientists, we have architects and engineers that use science. We have marine biologists and zoologists that use science. And so bringing them in to collaborate with teachers to help bring learning to life is what community-based education is about. But I don't believe it only takes a village to raise a child. I also believe it takes a child to raise a village. And so also the focus is on students going out into the communities and using your academic skills to be able to elevate your communities. And so one of the things that I do is a community advocacy project where students research issues that affect communities negatively. So some of the issues that students have researched in New York City last school year were mental health, gun and gang violence is a big issue in New York. Also pollution, just many issues. So it was around issues that matter to students, things that students wanted to see change. And then not only did they learn about it and write persuasive essays and things like that, and collect statistical data, so using mathematics, they had to interview community members, they had to survey community members to get statistical data, but also use the internet to get other secondary data. But not only did they do the research, after the research, they had to take action to move the needle towards change. And so some students, if they found that their root cause was around a lack of knowledge, then they did PSAs, kind of just like what you had, like they used their TikTok channels to create videos, to bring awareness to the issue, to let people know things that they can do to change the issue. But also students collaborated with community partners or CSOs, civil society organizations that are already doing things, like so if it's a mental health organization, they may have collaborated with them to help bring awareness to mental health or to just volunteer at a mental health clinic or things like that. If it was around pollution, some students took direct action and they created their own community cleanups or their beach cleanups. I live in New York City, there are a lot of beaches, and so some students wanted to do beach cleanups. And then there were some students who wanted to do advocacy by creating petitions for like the president, for governors, for city council people, mayors, whoever it was that they knew had the power to make change. They created petitions to do that. And so it was very powerful because it's not just learning and then the teacher grades a paper and then that's it. It's about learning and doing something with it now. Not waiting until you're an adult, building skills for adulthood, but building skills for now. And then the other part is some of the students were invited to participate in the community-based education community advocacy project expo. And so at the expo, students were able to share their research with the community. But not only did they share their research, but they had to share their problem, their research, their action. They also had to have a call to action for the community to further their cause, to support them in really helping to improve their condition as much as possible. It's not that a student is going to be able to change global warming in one school year, but it's about reducing those root causes so that in time, global warming can be something that is reduced. So this is a project that I hope to be able to engage you all in. Would anybody, I just want to see a show of hands, would anybody be interested in doing a project like this? I hope to be able to continue to communicate with Professor Hamala, and I'm sorry I forgot your name. Thank you, yes, and your school staff to be able to bring a project like this. You all would be the first on the continent to use community-based education. It is a movement, so you heard me say movement, it's a global movement, and it would truly be an honor for you all to be the first group of students to be able to engage in this global movement. So thank you for giving me the chance to share. It's exciting to hear that you have an interest in it, and I hope that we'll be able to partner up and collaborate in the future. Thank you all. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Let me come back and anything. Please don't be shy with me. Don't be shy. Yes, please.
I personally think that like what you're doing is a very amazing thing because students mainly believe that school is like a place they're forced to go to. So doing things that are more practical will push students to be interested in what they're doing, and I just think it's a very amazing thing.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Questions right here? Yes, right there on the side.
So in the last lecture series we had in this room, we were talking about racism and about how other people are treating us wrong and all about that stuff. So my main concern here is since we're working in Africa, we pretty much know that other companies such as UN, they have some propaganda behind all of their actions that they do. So how do you think we can make a big change in Africa while there are other factors that are limiting us?
That is an excellent question. So community-based education is the answer. And so what community-based education is about is providing a platform for young people to be able to raise awareness around these issues, to be able to speak truth, just like the way you all created this presentation, to be able to speak truth and give power to truth. That's what a community-based education project will do. So it allows you to do the research so that you have your facts. Because you have to operate from a factual place. You can't just be, making up stuff. In America, the children, they call it capping. You can't be capping, so you have to be able to do your research and have your knowledge. But from that knowledge, we all know knowledge is power. And so from that knowledge, that gives you the power and empowers you to be able to then say, hey, these are the things that we as young people want to see. And as the movement continues to grow, when students have an area of focus and there are other children around the world that also have the area of focus, that's where there's opportunity for collaboration so that you can have more people leaving behind whatever it is that you're advocating for, to be able to say, hey, we have 10,000 students on the continent or around the world that are advocating for, fair news, true news, a true representation of our continent. Or we have, 5,000 students who are advocating for clean water, or whatever the issue is. But this is what community-based education provides, that platform. It teaches you the process to be able to use your school skills to improve your communities. Does that answer your question? Excellent question, thank you. Does anyone else have a question or a comment? No more? How about any of you young presenters? Anything you want to share? Because I know you're not shy.
Well, I believe that community, when we are fighting against something, one thing that I usually see is that even though we're fighting against one thing as a whole, there's also some sort of division in between us. It might be as a country, it might be as a race, or just generally. So my view on community education is that we are working on our community, and we are also using the most empowering tool, which is education, to avoid that division that's in between us. So I believe that it is our old group's view to say that working on community and part of the community first with a powerful tool is a really a way that we can advocate for our voices before just going against what's
excellent, yes. You see the vision. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I make an offering?
Yes.
Unless they have other questions, I wanted to make an offering.
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me take this out for 1 second. Okay. I am so impressed. As a girl child, it's a little harder in the bigger world when you're a female and you're a woman. And so one of the things that I would like to encourage you to do is we call skill up. I consider myself, perhaps Dr. Ife too, as, and maybe we need a new word, but a triple threat is what we call a triple threat. Have you ever heard that before? You ever heard that terminology, triple threat? What that means is that make sure while you're getting your education that you get more than one skill. And so when I went to school, I did a business track, and I did an academic track. So I was able to get vocational skills when I was your age. So back then, computers were just coming around, but I learned how to use the computers, do filing, work in the office. I learned administrative skills, but I also did the academic track where I did chemistry, physics, and all the things so that I could go to university. And that has helped me in my life because I went on to university to get my education, but I also had practical skills that I could work and earn money. And so I want to encourage you all to do more than one thing. I'm an accountant, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a teacher, you know, and so I learned how to do more than one thing so that I can have the opportunities. If one thing doesn't work out, you can do the other thing, or you can do two things at once, and that helps you to become financially independent so that you can take care of yourself. So I just wanted to offer that. And for those of you that are interested in advocacy, the United Nations have the UN Model program for youth. I think that's something you should look into. Maybe
We have a club.
you have a club, okay? And I think
MEN.
I have a contact there that I met since I've been here. So
Okay.
maybe there could be a connection to those of you that are interested in international advocacy to actually work now at the United Nations. So that will put you on a track for international politics or international advocacy in the future. And the last thing I just wanted to offer is thank you for recognizing racism as a problem. And thank you for also calling out that sometimes there's division even amongst us. That's real. And so we're always at a situation where we're dealing with, I'm going to say, enemies that are on the outside of the community, and then we're also dealing with sometimes conflict within the family, you know, and it's always something. And so how we deal with that is a real thing. And I think community-based education provides an opportunity for conflict resolution or developing solutions both inside the family and then also, you know, the bigger system of racism that we're dealing with. So I just wanted to make that offering. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So, how could we change the views of teachers that are obviously old school, and they are they're basically set on the way that they were raised?
Yes.
For example, teachers that that grew up sitting in classrooms, jotting down 7 pages of notes, but obviously things have changed now. How do we change their views to be more open to learning outside, doing more practical things, and just being more open-minded?
Excellent.
That's helpful.
So you are speaking my love language. So that is one of the reasons why I created community-based education. I'm an educator. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I've been in education I have over 20 years of experience. I started teaching in the public school system in 2004, but even before that, I was kind of doing I've done daycare, I've done elementary school, I was a school administrator, I taught in middle school, I taught in high school, and been a school administrator at the high school level, and I also currently teach teachers at the graduate school level. So I've taught math, science, English, and social studies, so I have a very broad knowledge as a lifelong learner. But one of the things that has always been a problem for me is that very thing of teachers teach how they were taught, right? And so they don't think outside the box. I've always been, wherever I've been, I've always been the teacher who's outside the box. And that's because of how I was raised. I was raised to think outside the box, but the way that you all can help to bring that awareness to teachers is through, again, the research. So you interview, part of the community advocacy project is that you are primary source researchers. So you're not just doing research on the internet and getting information from the internet. You have to create your own surveys, so you'll be able to survey students and ask, you create questions, you learn how to create questions in a certain way that allows you to get information from students to be able to show that, hey, this model is not working anymore, it's kind of old-fashioned, it's not preparing us for the ever-evolving global 21st century, is not preparing us for an ever-evolving third millennium. You You do interviews with teachers, asking teachers, why do you teach in this way? But also asking new teachers who think outside the box, why do you teach, why aren't you using traditional? What are the things that you've seen, what are the benefits that you've seen from using a newer model of education, and how is that better preparing students for the world? And so it's about gathering data and then being able to use that data to educate others, including teachers who are kind of just comfortable. It's scary to try new things. So I get it. A lot of those teachers, those are my friends, that are using, they do what they only know to do. But that's why we need the youth to come to the table, because you all need to be able to use your voice to be able to show that, hey, it doesn't only have to be this way. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. That's an excellent question. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, so I just want to close and say that I absolutely agree with Dr. Angela. You do, about upskilling and having multiple skills and talents. Myself, of course, I'm an educator, but I'm also an artist. I was excited when I first came in to see the art area, and it has my name. My name, Ife, means love, and so I saw love right there in Amharic, so I'm excited. So now I can show people my name in Amharic as well. And so to see the art, but I'm also a life coach, and so I engage with people and support people I'm a mindset life coach, and so I help people to have a positive mindset, an optimistic mindset. So often society teaches us how to move from a place of fear, and so I teach people how to move from a place of faith. All right, so I absolutely agree. Think about, follow things that are your passion. Don't do things just because they make money. Your money will come. Okay, do things that you enjoy, because if you do things just for money and you don't enjoy it, there will be a sadness inside. We were just talking about that with the school leader, So I encourage you to get your skills, and you all are impressive. I just want to ask, how many people speak? Because I only speak one language, and it's English. So I'm always impressed because I have never met an African that doesn't speak at least 3 languages. So how many? I'm just going to ask. How many people speak 2 languages in here? Okay. How many people speak 3 languages in here? Let's get those 2. Okay. Anybody speak 4 languages? Anybody speak 5 languages? All right. So we have up to 4 languages. So you all don't even know how much you are ahead of the world. You're ahead of the world. You lead the world, even though you may not, the media is not showing that. People who know the truth know that Africa is the original, and that it is Africa that is going to bring the world to the next level. And that is my focus, and that's why it's such an honor to be here. And I look forward to being able to collaborate, to be able to bring community-based education so that you all can bring the world to the next level. We truly need you. So thank you so much. Thank you.